Welcome back to another FPL video. Only 3 game weeks left this season and it's really important to make the most out of our last transfers. I've updated the watch list with forwards and midfielders, and I've included some punts as well to potentially gain some rank at the end of the season. I will also discuss the potential for a new blank and double game week at the end of the season. I know that the Premier League said that there will be no more blanks and doubles because of the FA Cup final, but there is still a slight chance that we will have a double and a blank at the end of the season. At the end of the video, as always, I will discuss captaincy for the next game week. I have to mention that the last game of this game week, Crystal Palace against Nottingham Forest, have not yet started while recording this video. I'm hoping that Mateta or SA can outscore Shade, but Shade, he is the top point scorer at the moment with 12 points. Who do you think will be the top point scorer in game week 36? Let me know in the comments down below, but for now, let's start the video. As mentioned, the Premier League have confirmed that there will be no blanks or doubles caused by the FA Cup final. Crystal Palace playing against Man City, those games have been moved later in game week 37. So Crystal Palace against Wolves and Man City against Bournemouth will still be played within game week 37. However, there is still a fixture that could be postponed or played in game week 36. It's the Aston Villa against Spurs game. We know that all other pictures will be played, but there is still a slight chance that this game will be postponed. As you can see on the screen, Spurs are playing against Bodø/Glimt. They won 3-1 in the first leg, and they will play midweek before game week 36. Same goes for Man United. They won 3-0 against Athletic, and they will also play on Thursday ahead of game week 36. As we can see on the screen, Man United, if they reach the final, they have a Friday fixture in game week 37, so no problem for them if they reach the final. But Spurs, on the other hand, they will play on Sunday in game week 37, and this will only give them 72 hours before they will play the final in the Europa League. So Spurs, they have tried to move their fixture. Their first attempt got declined, but the rumors are that they are still trying to move this fixture. The most likely outcome will be that the fixture will be played in game week 36. So Spurs tried to move their fixture against Aston Villa. They got rejected, but they have appealed, so there's still a chance that this fixture will be moved. And if the Premier League accept Spurs' request, this will be the fixtures in double game week 36. Spurs, they will play against Crystal Palace and Aston Villa, while Aston Villa will also have a double game week and play against Bournemouth away and Spurs at home. Of course, this means that in game week 37, 2 teams will blank, and this will of course be both Aston Villa and Spurs, the same teams that will have a double game week. So my advice would be to hold your transfers. Don't sell your Aston Villa players yet. If you have the likes of Konsa, Martinez in goal, or Rodgers in midfield, I will hold those players even if you will have them on your bench in the next couple of game weeks. So there is still a potential for them to have a double game week in double game week 36. So hold your Aston Villa assets for now. So this is my team for game week 36. I'm one of those managers with Aston Villa players. I have Rodgers, but he will stay on my bench. I could potentially sell him, but I will keep him for now. In goal, I will actually start Areola this game week. I will have Raya on my bench playing away against Liverpool. I know Liverpool did not really impress us against Chelsea in game week 35, but I don't really see Arsenal keeping a clean sheet against Liverpool in game week 36. So I'm also benching Saliba this game week for the same reasons, and on my bench I also have Trippier. He's playing against Chelsea. I think that they actually are starting to find some form, so a really strong bench: Raya, Rodgers, Saliba and Trippier. But this is of course because I have a strong team at the moment. I played my bench boost a couple of game weeks ago, so hopefully the players in my starting 11 can deliver. As mentioned, Areola in goal. In defense, I have Guardiola, Williams and Munoz. This is mostly because of the fixtures. Guardiola, decent fixture against Southampton. Williams against Leicester at home, and Munoz playing away against Spurs. On paper, for a defender to play away against Spurs doesn't really look good on paper, but we know that Spurs, they are still in the Europa League, so they will probably continue prioritizing this tournament and play a weaker team in the Premier League. In midfield, Mbeumo, Kevin De Bruyne, Esse and Jared Bowen. So Esse, I have labeled the fixture green against Spurs. For Munoz, Esse and Mateta. The problem with the Crystal Palace players is that they might actually rest some of their players as well. So I'm not really sold on Crystal Palace assets. If you have Crystal Palace assets, keep them and play them, but I wouldn't really advise on bringing in Crystal Palace assets. Another point is that they might actually be injured. This is, as mentioned, recorded before the Crystal Palace against Nottingham Forest game in game week 35. So hopefully they will be fine, and hopefully they will start in game week 36 as well, but I wouldn't necessarily buy Crystal Palace assets this game week. Jared Bowen, same goes for his opponent in game week 36, playing away against Man United. Man United is the other team that is still in the Europa League, so they will probably continue playing their strongest team in this tournament and have a weaker team for the Premier League as well. Up front, Alexander Isak, tough fixture against Chelsea. I just said that they are starting to find some form, and Mateta, I discussed him, and Marmoush as well. The thing to consider with Marmoush is that we should pay attention to the press conference, because we know that Erling Haaland is closing in on a return to the squad. So if Erling Haaland is fit, this will push Marmoush out wide, and he can potentially see limited minutes as well. So I will start this team. I'm not really planning on doing any transfers. The bench, as mentioned, is really strong. I know that there are some popular assets, especially up front in Chris Wood and Vissa, but I will probably just play this team for game week 36. If you're not satisfied with your team and want to make some transfers, I'm really recommending you to bring in one of those players. Jared Bowen, he's really in form, decent fixtures, only priced at 7.7 and selected by 12% of the managers. A really good expected goal involvement for Jared Bowen as well at 2.47. So I can see Jared Bowen having a really strong finish to this season, and he's playing against Man United away. Usually a grey fixture, but considering their participation in the Europa League, I've labeled this fixture green. Then they play against Nottingham Forest, not in their best form, so this could potentially be a green fixture as well. And in game week 38, and last game week of the season, West Ham, they are playing against Ipswich. The next player on the list is Mbeumo. He is the safe option, selected by 42% of the managers. Bit more expensive, 8.2, but really good fixtures for Brentford, and I think that Mbeumo's ownership will rise in the next couple of game weeks. So Mbeumo, of course, his ownership at 42, so not to be considered as a differential, but a safe pick. So if you're satisfied with your rank and your position in your mini leagues, it's probably a good idea to bring in Mbeumo. Last on this list is a bit more of a differential, Gibbs White. Nottingham Forest, as mentioned, not in their best form, but they have good fixtures at the end of the season. So they play against Leicester at home in game week 36. The fixture can't be much better. And they play against West Ham away and Chelsea at home in game week 38. Only selected by 6%. Not that high expected goal involvement, but we know that Gibbs White is on most set pieces for Nottingham Forest. And if Chris Wood is not on the pitch, he will potentially take penalties as well. So 3 different players. If you want to take a punt, go for Gibbs White. If you want to play it safe, it's Mbeumo, and the most sensible pick for me at the moment is Jared Bowen. The watch list for forwards, I just talked about the fixtures while discussing Mbeumo, and this of course also goes for Vissa, really good fixtures and more of a differential as well, only selected by 17% of the managers. Better price as well, only priced at 6.7. So if you have an available spot up front, Vissa is a really good target at the moment. 2.16 expected goal involvement, so I think that Visa is a really good buy at the moment. Watkins, his ownership is higher, but I think that he is kind of a punt. I talked about the double game week, so if it gets confirmed that the Aston Villa against Spurs game will be moved, and this will potentially give both Spurs and Aston Villa a double game week, I think that it makes sense to bring in Watkins. Really good fixtures for Aston Villa: Bournemouth away, Spurs at home, and Man United away. So they are actually playing two of the teams that are still in the Europa League, so they could play weakened, rotated fringe players that hasn't really played that much this season. I think that we saw this in game week 35. I think we will see it at the end of the season as well. The biggest punt on the list is the Lap. Not really impressed by Ipswich, but we know that he actually is a decent player, and if we consider Ipswich fixtures, I think that the Lap is a good punt for the remaining game week. So they are playing against Brentford at home and then Leicester away before they finish their season at home against West Ham. So potentially a lot of goals. I don't really see that Ipswich will win all those games, but I think that there will be a lot of goals in those games. So 5.5% selected, so a decent punt for the end of the season. Let me know in the comments down below which player do you like best from this watch list. So to round off the forwards watch list, I think that those players are really good. If you still don't have Chris Wood, I think that he is the safe option. I talked about Mbeumo being the safe option on the midfielders watch list. Chris Wood is not included in this list, but I think that he is the safest option if you still don't own him. First out while discussing captaincy in game week 36 is Eze. I talked about a couple of times already that Spurs, they are playing in the Europa League, so they will probably field the weaker team in the Premier League for the next couple of game weeks. So Eze against Spurs, they have kept 0 clean sheets, 12 goals conceded, which is worst in the league, 9 big chances, 16 shots on target, and an expected goal of 6.25. So if Eze don't get injured against Nottingham Forest, I think that he is a decent option. The only worry with the Crystal Palace players is that they have an FA Cup final coming up, so some of their players might get rested for game week 36. So let's have a look at some other captain options as well. Marmoush playing against Southampton. This has been considered as the best fixture last couple of months, playing against Southampton. We can see on the stats as well, they have kept 0 clean sheets, 8 goals conceded, 8 big chances as well, 23 shots on target, and they have an expected goal of 7.26. So for the last 2 months, Southampton have been worst in all of those categories, but as you can see, they have actually started to be a bit better defensively. So they were like 20th in all of those categories as mentioned, but now they're like 16th, 10th, 20th in shots on target still, but expected goals 7.26 is 17th. So there is actually a slight improvement in Southampton's defensive ability, but I really think that the fixture is really good for Man City. The only worry is that Erling Haaland is getting close to a return to the Man City team. He might actually be involved in game week 36, so I would not buy Marmoush at the moment. And if we get confirmation that Haaland is definitely out for game week 36, I think Marmoush is a decent option, but there is a slight risk. And let's take a look at another captain option for game week 36. Jared Bowen, he was my captain in game week 35. Lovely return, 9 points, and the captaincy made it 18. So decent game week for me in game week 35, and the goal from Jared Bowen really helped. So they are playing against a rotated Man United. They have kept 0 clean sheets as well, 10 goals conceded, 12 big chances, and 15 shots on target, and they have an expected goals conceded of 5.52. I think that those stats are bad considering that Man United is a big club. They haven't really impressed us so far this season. Bad season for Man United, my club, but I think that there is a big potential for West Ham and especially Jared Bowen in this fixture. So I think that for game week 36, if you want to take a punt, Jared Bowen is a really good option. The last player I will discuss in this captain section is Mbumo. Did not impress in game week 35, but a really good fixture in game week 36. Playing against Ipswich, kept 0 clean sheets, 11 goals conceded, 15 big chances and 23 shots on target. They also have an expected goal of 8.22, so Ipswich, they are one of the worst teams, only beaten by Leicester when we take a look at defensive stats. So I think that the safe option on my list is Mbumo. We know that Mo Salah still will be heavily captained, and I think that Chris Wood will be backed by a lot of FPL managers as well. So I think that the captaincy will be spread in game week 36 as we saw in game week 35, but for me at the moment Mbumo looks to be the best option. Let me know in the comments down below who will be your captain for game week 36. Thanks for watching. Subscribe to the channel for more FPL content and live Q&As the day before every game week.